Hello. Hey,
Hey,
how you doing?
pretty good, pretty good.
Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, thank
Good,
you.
good. How's work been today?
It's good. I was just like telling him, I was in a meeting right now, and I was just like, that's why I couldn't answer the phone because I was like in a meeting. But now I'm ready to, to talk to people and to, give him a little bit of my experience doing production for the church. So
Fantastic, fantastic. Good to have you. Good to have you. Um, okay, so I want us to just do about 5 to 10 minutes of introductions before we actually start. So, how did your Sunday service go?
it went pretty good. It went pretty good. It went pretty good. Friday and Saturday we had a women's event, so that one went pretty good. We had a little bit of troubleshooting in some of the parts, but overall it went really good. So we're pretty happy about it. So yeah.
Nice, nice. That's good. That's good. Okay, so um, is there anything that you've found out about Nigeria in the last few days? Anything?
No, no. I'm ready to just to share some experience and to give them some tips and advice to whoever needs to listen to this. It'll be great, I think.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, all right. So I guess we are already sharing. I mean, Instagram is already pushing out the information to everyone that we're live.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There's people joining. I can see that. Yeah.
you can see that I see a lot of your people joining in.
Yeah, yeah. There's some friends and relatives and stuff like that joining. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we're going to wait a bit. Maybe we'll just keep chit-chatting. How is
Sure.
the family?
Pretty good. Family's good. Family's good. I talked to my mom yesterday because she's back in Ecuador. So, and my wife is she's right now on vacation because she was on class. She was taking some English classes. So everything's good. Everything we're doing good. We're doing good. So.
Great, great, great. Okay, so I work at the House on the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's a it's a it's a relatively big church in Nigeria, about 10,000 capacity auditorium.
Wow.
So I work as an admin staff there and in the media department. So along the line, I faced some challenges with my work, and one of the major challenges has been getting contacts for different things that needs to be done because the industry, the church media industry, is still not organized yet in our space here. So I found out that since it's not organized, I can actually make it organized. I could actually put it together. So I and some people decided that we'll form the church media community. So that's where we are right now. We started the community some months back, and right now we have about 250 people, and
Wow.
we have about 50 churches. So when you're speaking, just know that you're speaking to about 50 or more churches.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
that's interesting. So I want you to have that at the back of your mind that you're speaking to a lot of people. There are those that are going to join us live, and there are those that are going to watch afterwards. So I believe they're going to get a lot of value because last week when we spoke, I totally had this feeling that we are going to have a lot to learn from you today. So, like I told you last week, or like you got in our email, our topic is how to create high quality church media content on a
Right.
budget. And
Imagine.
on the budget is important because of where we are at in the third world countries and how there's been, let me call it, a lack of education in terms of media for our pastors. So most pastors don't even understand the importance or why they should spend money on media yet. They don't understand it yet. So we are doing some work there to make them understand. So you find out that the media teams are usually handicapped in terms of finances, but yet they're passionate people and they still want to deliver. So we want to look at what are the ways to get quality, high quality content produced by our teams while shoestringing along. You understand? Yeah.
Yes.
So fantastic. I'm just buying some time. We will start at exactly 8 o'clock. I want as many people as possible to join in.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's okay. We got 2 more minutes to
To just
launch to launch it. Yeah. We got 2 more minutes to launch, so we're fine.
good, good,
But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question, and it's a very interesting thing to learn and to talk about. So
great,
we got 1 minute.
great,
Yep.
great. Okay, so
So how's the weather? How's the weather down there right now?
it rained cats and dogs
Yeah, yeah.
overnight. It was crazy. It's one of the biggest storms we've seen, but we're fine. We're fine. We managed. So, and I think sometime in the afternoon it got really hot.
Yeah.
So now we
It's
are in the well, it's 7:58 p.m. in
yeah,
Nigeria.
it's yeah,
7.
over here. Over here it's been raining the whole weekend. It was just like really big storms. And today is a little bit sunny now, so I mean it's a weird summer because we're entering into the summer.
Oh,
But
interested.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Interested. Okay, so right on the hour of 8 here in Lagos, Nigeria, and I think it's 2 p.m.
2 p.m. in Houston,
Houston,
Texas. Yes.
Texas. Fantastic. All right. Let me just do a short intro to everyone who is just meeting you for the first time and meeting us also for the first time. Okay, this is the Church Media X bi-weekly professionals forum. We hold this every 2 weeks, and that means in the next 2 weeks we're going to bring you another exciting guest. And this is a media community for church folks. So on our live Instagram today, we have Marcelo Salazar. Did I pronounce that
Yeah.
right?
Yes, Salazar. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so he's an award-winning TV and film producer from Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. He has created and produced various TV shows for broadcasting channels in the US, Ecuador, and Europe, and also for video on-demand platforms. He has produced award-winning commercials. You're going to share some of those with me or with us afterwards. While working at an advertising agency and has been in business for more than 20 years. He is a television and digital media professional talented at creating, producing, and supervising a diverse range of network and independent productions. He will draw from his vast 20 years experience to provide practical tips and insights on how to create high quality church media content on a budget. So whether you're a church media professional looking to enhance your skills or a church leader seeking to improve your church media presence, you won't want to miss this. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Marcelo on our Instagram live today. All right, round of applause, everyone.
Yay!
Welcome to Nigeria. Nigeria, welcome to America. Come
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Well,
let me first ask you, please.
yes.
How did you become a producer?
Okay, well, how did I become a producer? Since I was like a teenager, I always loved music and commercials and and movies, TV series, TV shows. I was always watching TV shows and commercials, and I always wondered, how did all that thing happen?
Mm.
How all those things like were going at it. Like when I was a little kid, when I was I don't know, maybe 6 or 7,
Mhm.
uh, I started watching movies, and the magic of movies in that time is like I actually believe that like the the starting, the stars of the movie. Like for example, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
so when I was watching Star Wars and I saw that Princess Leia was getting married to Han Solo, I actually I actually thought that Carrie Fisher was gonna marry Harrison Ford. So it was very, very believable for me. So then after that, I started looking at all these things, and I was like, wow, I mean, I love this magic. I love these things. I want to do something that people can believe. There's a story, there's something going on, and to take you somewhere else. So when I was in high school, I decided, I told my parents, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go into communications. I'm gonna be a producer.
Mhm.
Uh, this is back in the late 1990s, and they were like, well, what are you gonna do for a living? It's a TV producer and all that. So and so. This is back home living in Ecuador, and so I came to the United States to pursue my dream to go to school. I went to school in Pittsburgh State University in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and I fell in love. I fell in love because like I told you before, like the biggest thing that like always impacted me when I started at school, it was like the first day of a TV production class. Our professor told us, hey, do you want to be a good producer? And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I would love to be a good producer. They were like, okay, well, if you want to be a good producer, you guys have to learn every single thing about what's going on in a producing job. So you have to be an editor, you
Yeah.
have to be a photographer, you have to be a lighting crew, you have to be a crew, you have to be a grip. So you have to learn every single position so you
Mm.
can become a good producer.
Great.
Why? Because a producer is a leader and you have
Mm.
to lead by example. So that's how I become involved. So when I was in school, I had the privilege that like my school, they have their own little production department. So uh, we produced the football games, the Pittsburgh State football games. So and it was the same thing. If you were a first year student, you were the ones that do like you were like running camera. You were the first year you were running camera, you were running cables.
Mm.
Second year students, now you were doing graphics. Now you were doing, assistant. Third year students, then you can be a commentator or you can be a reporter or you
Wow.
can be one of those things. And if you were the fourth year student, then you were a producer and you were a director.
Wow.
So that's how like I started learning every single thing like since I was a little kid, since I was like 18 when I was like in school. So I like started learning the craft like that.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that like really really got me into like, okay, so I want to be a producer, I want to do this, so I want to do it like this, I want to do it right in a right way. And one of the reasons is like because my professor was telling me like when you have done when you have been an editor, you have been a lighting, you have been in lighting, you have been a cameraman, you have been doing all these things, when you become a producer or when you become a director, if somebody tells you, you tell, the editor, you know what, I want you to edit this. I want you to edit like this way. I want you to edit like so and so. And the editor will tell you like, no, that's impossible. I cannot do it. Then you will sit down and say like, look, I'll show you. There's
Yeah.
possible. So that's why you have to learn the craft and you have to learn every single thing. You have to learn a little. I'm not telling you that you have to be good at everything because
Yeah.
I'm not really good. I'm not a good photographer. I don't do a lot of cameras, but
Mm-hmm.
I know what I want. I,
Exactly.
I, I can edit, I can tell a story, I can do that because I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But but I hesitate in some other stuff. So that's how I became doing that. Then so when I was in college, I wanted to do commercials. I wanted to do Nike commercials. I wanted to do, I wanted to work for FIFA. I wanted to work for, I wanted to do like a whole lot of things. Uh, so I started in a little production company in Pittsburgh, Kansas, doing some local commercials, some, little stuff. But they were like really good at weddings, and I mean, it's like I could not be creative because I'm a very creative person. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. After that, I landed a job in. It's funny because like you have never say never. It's a really good interesting thing because
Yeah.
when I was in school, I was like, I don't want to do news. I hate news. They're like they wore me out. It's like I don't like it. There's nothing going on in there.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got out of school, because when I was a junior in college, I did my internship in a CBS station, like CBS channel, like one of the associates, the affiliates in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Okay.
But what I was doing in the promotions department. So I was like writing commercials, writing promos. I mean, it was amazing.
Hmm.
But when I was graduating, there was a job opening on that same channel, that same network, but it was for a news producer. And I went over there, and I went over there. I took the test. They got me the interview and everything. And 3 days before I was going to graduate, the news director, her name is Christy Wilson, she's a great lady. She calls me up. It's like, hey, Marcelo, you got the job. And I was like, what? I'm going to be a news producer, like for the, yeah. And it was like the noon, it was the 12 o'clock and the 5 o'clock. And I was like, so they were like, just like, they were throwing me, you know,
Out there. Yeah.
yeah, out
Like
there.
there's nobody else. It's you. You have to do
Yeah.
it.
So I was like doing it, and I always, back then I had this thing thinking about like, well, you know what, English is my second language, so I don't know how to write and all this, and I learned it. I had to learn, so I was like writing the stories and all this and stuff, but didn't like it. I was a news producer. I did it for like 6 months, but it was not my passion. It's like I wanted to do commercials. I wanted to do TV shows. I wanted to do all these things. So, graduated and went back home. I went back to Ecuador, and I was lucky enough that one of my uncles, uh, he's like a big brother to me because he's like 12 years older than me. So he's like my mom's baby's brother. And he was working in an international advertising agency, which is JWT, J. Walter Thompson. That in those times there were J. Walter Thompson, not just Thompson Wundermans now. It's called Thompson Wundermans. So he offers me as an intern. He was like, "Hey, you know what? There's a position in the production department, so you can work as a production manager with the production manager." So I was like, "All right, wait." So then I got when I work at that agency, we won so many awards because I mean, we had accounts like UNICEF, Kia Motors, you know, this Cadbury Adams, which is like bubble gums and stuff like that. So we had like a lot of things going on, and it was really really
Wow.
good. So that's why so now I keep learning about a lot of things. So my producing skills were, going a little bit more
Crazy.
further, a little bit further. But I was just, I was a little kid. I was like 23, 24, something like that. So I was just like, keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. So after that, I keep going, the passion keeps growing. Then I work for another station that like this particular brand in Ecuador, they will sell stuff. They will sell like so many things on TV, like refrigerators, jewelry. It was like the QVC channel in the United States, but they have like this big production company. So I started doing that. I started doing, infomercials, which is called,
Wow.
famous infomercials. So I started doing infomercials
Hmm.
and, keep going. But like I always wanted to, keep doing commercials, and I always dreamed about having my own company.
Yeah.
So, but people are like, well, you know what? Well, you're 25, dude. You're like, I was like, well, I don't know, man. And I was like, something's gonna happen. So then I met a couple of guys, and actually we found we found a company, and One of them was like a really good event producer, and the other one was a senior producer, and I was like the creative producer. So we start doing. We switch a little bit of. We switch a little bit of my thing. I was like, I was not doing just doing commercials. Now we're doing concerts. We're doing pageants. I mean, we were lucky enough to produce Miss Ecuador pageant three
Wow.
years in a row.
Wow.
And I was one of the I was a video producer there, so I was like doing all the introductions, introducing Miss so and so and blah 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 and all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So so that thing went on. Then because we were an event producer, like we were like doing concerts. We actually had a about that time, uh, Disney had like their own radio stations, and so they started bringing people from Argentina, like bands from Argentina and Mexico to Ecuador to do concerts, and we were the ones producing those things. And so we're like, oh, okay, so this is all it's all fun. It's fun. So in my old 20 plus years of experience, I have the privilege of doing communication, doing producing stuff for a lot of branches. Okay, for a lot of branches because I did that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also did so I was doing advertising. Then I did events. Then I worked for the vice president of Ecuador, and so I did political communication. So
Wow.
which is like a whole different thing because you have to write it in a whole different way. There's another concept. You have to sell it in a different way. So having an advertising background,
Mm-hmm.
it was like way different to do this. And when I was doing the whole thing, working for the vice president, then I started to doing this whole video production, like content. I started like starting to telling stories, starting to because we will go out, and find this family in in a remote part of Ecuador, and they will tell us the story that like back in the days we didn't have anything, and now thank you to the vice president we have this, and thank you, political stuff, But it was
Yeah.
a story. It was a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah. So we were doing that. We were having all these things. Um, I always have I always have the Christian belief. I was born and raised Catholic. So I was like having, my religious beliefs. It was there. I know that God existed. I know that like God was good. I know that all that. But it was it was there, but it was not there. It's like I didn't have a very good relationship with God in
Mm.
that part.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was doing all these wonderful things, I got married, and I had my beautiful wife, and we always wanted to have kids, and fast forward a little bit, a couple of years later, we uh, we wanted to have kids, and we were pregnant, and then we had a really sad story that like we lost our kids when we're like my
Wow.
wife was 5 months into the pregnancy
Mm.
of two beautiful baby girls, and we lost them.
Wow.
But about that time, because I have that, and at the same time, my big production company, my two business partners, they start doing things that they were like not right, and so I went bankrupt with that.
Wow.
So I had everything under me. I mean, it was like my business, my
Wow.
family,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
Your
like, where are you?
finances.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, God, I mean, where are you? Why are you doing this? Why are you letting me do this? So I found this little community church in Ecuador, which is led by Diego Galarza and Viviana Chacon with our pastors there. And Diego starts preaching the word of God in a very different way because he's a psychologist. So he starts comparing stuff like, you know what? In the Bible says this, and maybe this is happening to you. This is the same thing. So
Mm.
so I start, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. This is very interesting the way that they say stuff.
Mm.
And at the same time, my wife finds Joel Austin
Mm.
in the internet.
Wow.
So we're back in Ecuador, and my wife is listening to Joel, and I'm listening to Diego, and then I start reading Joel's books and stuff like that. It's like, well, I like this kind of relationship with God. I like this kind of thing, like the way that I like, and maybe I was like so because like after I got the bankruptcy with my company, I was like, you know what? I quit. I don't want to do TV anymore. I don't want to do video anymore because I can't. I'm not worth it. I'm not, I'm a mess. I did all this stuff and I quit. But then
Wow.
it's,
Wow.
but when you are passionate enough, when
Hmm.
you have so much passion,
Yeah.
it never dies.
It never
It never dies.
died. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it never dies. So it's there, and so so when this happened, I always wanted to come back to the United States because I was like, hey, you know what? I graduated in the United States. I have a lot of friends in the United States. Um, I was like, for instance, because I graduated in a very small university, I thought that because I graduated in a very small university, my friends and me, we were never gonna get like a big name job or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got reconnected to my friends and people that I actually graduated with me in the same class in Pittsburgh State University as producers,
Mm-hmm.
then I realized that like I got one guy that he was working for the NBA. He was a public relations for the Phoenix Suns in that time.
Wow.
Another friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
was a producer for the NFL, for the National Football League.
Wow.
And I got another friend that she was a camera operator. She was a videographer for
Hmm.
NBC Sports. So she went to the Olympics. She went to the World Cup. She went to a lot. So I was like, wait a minute. I was like, those are my friends.
Yeah.
We graduated in the same class. We went to school in this. I mean, we're equal.
Yeah.
So maybe I should go back to the United States and try my luck. Because I was in Ecuador and everything, but Ecuador is a little a small country, and it was very limited. And like I told you before, like back home, and we were going to talk about this later on the tips or how you produce with low budget.
Yeah.
So I came back. But how I came back? I applied for a visa. I applied for a visa that like a friend of mine told me when I went and visited them in Florida, and he's like, hey, you know what? You should apply for this visa, which it gives you can apply as an outstanding skills visa, and they will give you the residency, and you will become a resident of the United States. So it took me 2 years to do
Wow.
that. It took me 2 years to apply and everything, and to recollect all my information. And the lawyer that I was like getting my cases, like, dude, you have enough. You have what it takes. You have you. But by that time, I had like 17 years of experience or something like that, 15 or 16 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So came to the States in the middle of the pandemic, like 2020 hit the pandemic. Like I came to the United States in August with my wife in August 20th of 2020, went to live in
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City, Missouri, because, my friends were in Kansas. We're all in Kansas looking for a job, but we're still, relying on the faith of God. We're like listening to Joel. We're like going to. So when the church opened again in Houston in October of 2020, we didn't have any money. We're like, we just got here. We sold everything back home. We came over here with a little bit of money, but we were like, I'm gonna be a producer. We're gonna do a lot of things, good stuff here. Uh, my wife and I, we just bought a car, a little car, and my wife is like, you know what? We should drive to Houston to go to Lakewood, and just to give thanks to God because God has been so good to us. I was like, okay. It was a 13-hour drive.
Wow.
So we came down, and this is when everything happens. We came here, we came to Lakewood, we attend Joel's service, and as soon as I got in here, I saw all this cameras and jibs and lights and the coordination and stage managers and all this, and I was like, whoa, oh man, this is not a church with like two little cameras.
Yeah.
This is big.
Yeah.
And my wife and I being producers, my wife is like, can you imagine if one of us will work here someday? And I was like, sure, why not?
Thank God
Okay,
for
so I was like,
wives. Thank God
yeah,
for wives that see.
yeah. So I was like, why not? So went back to Kansas City, started like looking for more jobs and stuff like that. And then a month later, there's an opening in Lakewood.
Wow.
So I applied to Lakewood, and I was like, well, then they call me and we have some interviews and stuff like that, and and about that time, I was like, I didn't know what's going to happen because like I was having these interviews to work for Lakewood, but like another company called me also because they were looking for a bilingual producer, and I was like, okay, so now I have like I didn't have anything 3 months ago. Now I
Yeah.
have two job offers.
Interesting.
So yeah, so we're doing that, and then Blake would say, "Hey, you know what? We really like your stuff. We really like what you do, but like, we're gonna wait on your application because we are trying to do something bilingual for you because we want you to help."
Okay. Yeah. Can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So we are so they a couple months later they offered me to come to Houston as as a content producer for the Spanish broadcast to help in the Spanish ministry.
Mhm.
So that's how I came here. Um, and I've been here for 2 years now, and I'm so grateful because I've learned so many things. And the thing is, like, going to what we were talking about is the importance of video for a church.
Yeah.
It's because you can actually spread the word of God in a wider way, in
True.
a very wider way. When you do video and you talk about it, you talk about God or you talk about a testimony like how God work on your life or on somebody's life, or like cure you from a cancer or diabetes or something, or like you were poor and now you're they give you, God will give you now more than enough now all those things. You can talk to your friends, you can talk to your pastor, you can talk to somebody in a congregation, you can talk to in a church or something. But if you go through video, now that like we have all this social media and now we have all these things, it goes
Mhm.
it goes everywhere.
Way beyond the
Exactly.
four corners of that church.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's how the importance of video is, like, in and you are like, if you're starting a new church or you're like working for a church and you don't know how to tell your pastor, hey, you know what, we should spend some money on video because, and then your pastor's going to ask you why, because we're fine, there's 50 people coming to the church and we don't want any more. Okay, but if you go to video, maybe those 50 people are going to become 120 people
Yeah.
or 200 people or 300 people or whatever.
Definitely
So that is
multiples.
exactly. So that's the importance of video
Yeah.
when you come into like how is video so important in the church? How is video so important in everything that we do? That's what it is. Because one of the things that like I love about Lakewood and I love about like what I do here is like I said, I'm a content producer. So what do I do
Mhm.
is I make content for the broadcast, which is I, me and a bunch of people that works here, because like we're in the media department, we are like around 20 people that work here. So I got people that help me out with cameras and help me out with lighting and help me out finding the stories, and then I'll interview that person and then I'll edit that, and there's people that color it and put music and all that. But the thing is, like, you can tell a story about a miracle, and that's what we do. We tell testimonies, we tell stories about what happened to them and how God acted them. That's one of the things that we do
Yeah.
as a content producer. The other thing that I do as a content producer is we do what we call the offering videos. The offering videos is like we do videos about the money that you are giving to the church with your tithes or with your donations.
Yes.
what's that money going? What are they doing with that money? So
Hmm.
over here we do the offering videos because Lakewood Church has a partnership with a lot of nonprofit organizations, and we have a, a relief and outreach ministry here that it helps people. So we record those stories, we record those things every week. Every week we have some offering videos, and every 3 to 4 weeks we have a story. We tell testimony.
Wow, wow.
So
That,
that's
that's a lot of videos. That's a lot of work.
It is, and it is not only that because we have the services that are like during the week, the midweek services. Those are videos that we do here, and then we edit, to make it like the 20 minute or 35 minute or whatever. So
Okay.
so those and so but that's the thing. Like I was saying, we use this platform. We use video. We use every single social media to
Hmm.
spread the word to
Yeah.
spread the word of God, because a lot of people are in the need of listening to the word of God. So
Sure. Sure.
we we have that privilege of doing that.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Fantastic. Fantastic. I have a better understanding of what you do now and how you get to do it. And I think your background coming from your schooling to the places where you've worked, the political space, the news agency, the adverts company. Uh, it has all shaped you into what you are today. And sometime in your journey, I'm sure that you had projects that you wish you had more budget for. How did you scale those projects? How did you scale them?
Well, one of the things that like it's interesting about um, how do you do that is like you have to be resourceful. You have to look around of every single thing that you have around you
Mm-hmm.
and try to make it work. Um, I think I told you, and there's one thing that I was really surprised when I was back home in Ecuador. There was one time that like they were doing a TV series, and they were doing a TV series, and the producer, I was just I was not working for that TV series. I was just like totally new, so I just got from the United States. I just got there, so I was like trying to get my foot in the door. So I was not even an assistant. I was like an intern, and they were like they were going to do the shoot and everything, and they totally they saw that like the what is it oh man, the energy, like the machine that like gives you energy to like to power up everything.
Okay, the generator.
The generator,
Mhm.
yeah, the generator, it was stuck in traffic or something happened, and so it was not going to get there on time. So some of the electricians in there were like, so okay, so what are we gonna do? One of those guys just like climb up one of the lightning poles and just grab electricity from the main source.
What?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so that's you're doing some resource right there. You're being resourceful right there.
Hmm.
So, but like for us, living when we're living in a third world country, there's a lot of things that you have to make it up, and like, and it's not only in the third world country because I've seen people that are like doing tricks, like for example, like okay, so you want to shoot, a sequence of a car going into a dirt road and at night with fog, but you don't have the money to rent the big car, whatever. So what they do is just like they buy the miniature scale, you know, and they put it in a little dirt road and on a table, and they're
Hmm.
such making a fog machine and just like blowing some air, and you
Yeah.
record it, and you record it real close.
Hmm.
So you record it real close, and it looks like it's a real car.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some creativity right there.
Exactly. So you have to be very resourceful. I mean, it can never be an excuse that like I don't have the money to do it. When I
Yeah.
was in school and when I went back home to Ecuador to like start doing my producing uh, stuff, one thing that like always in my wife and I joke about this a lot because it's a classical thing that we said it back home, and it's like when you're a producer, if the director wants a pink elephant, you have to get a pink elephant. I mean, you have to get the pink
Yeah.
elephant.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're gonna paint it. I don't care if you're gonna, post producer. You're gonna dress it up. But
Ah, ah.
if he wants a pink elephant,
He gets a
you
big head.
you have to get a pink elephant.
Yeah.
So then
Because
that's when to be a producer, you have to be you have to be a little bit of have to have a little bit of creativity also. You have to have a little bit of making ideas and playing with stuff, playing, hey, how about if we put the light like this, or we put
yeah.
like this like this. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to here there's so many talented people that like do that with me, that like every time that like there's a few content producers here, like whenever we shoot something, they have some really good ideas of, hey, let's put lighting like this, or let's put like that. So pretend that it's like night or day, or give them a shadow or something. I mean, those are very talented people, and they're
Yeah.
resourceful because not not every time you're gonna have all the money in the world to do it.
Yes.
So you have to be resourceful with everything. I mean, right now, I mean, it's gotta be honest. I mean, you can really make a really good stuff with an iPhone. I mean, those cameras are good and everything.
You can
I
do
mean,
that.
it's not ideal. I'm one of those old school people. Like I'm totally against. I don't like it. I don't like shooting with an iPhone. But like you know, or
Why?
like it's just like it's like I don't know. I'm old school. I'm old school. So it's just like I don't know, but like because I mean sometimes it's like about the lenses. I mean, like when you work with once you work with like really high quality, you know,
Yes.
you start looking at it and it's just like, it's not
True.
really the same thing.
True.
But nowadays, with all the plugins and all the the programs and all the things that like are around us, I mean, you can make really good stuff with everything. So
Yeah, and I think the end platform also matters. So before it used to be all made for TV and big screens, but now people are making content for the mobile phones. And the
exactly.
mobile phones, you don't really, the rules are not the same. We're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. No, we want to see something interesting, engaging, something we can work with.
But and in the same way, I mean, there's different niches for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah, there's people that like will consume everything on a social media. They will consume everything on Instagram or Facebook Live or whatever.
Hmm.
But there's other people like myself, for example. I like so man, I like Netflix, I like Hulu, I like Peacock, I like all the platforms, HBO Max, I like all of them
Wow.
because you can actually do, my old school TV,
Hmm.
okay? Because like you do TV shows, you do TV series,
Hmm.
in let's say the old-fashioned way. You grab some Alexas or you grab some Aries and you do, your show and everything,
Hmm.
and then you put it in a platform. You put it in, the next technology, which is really good because
Yeah.
honestly, those platforms, the video on demand platforms, I think it's the best thing that happened to us because that way you have the freedom to watch your show whenever
Yes.
you want to,
Yes.
whenever you
Yes.
want to, and it's not you're not strict to certain schedules set now because long time ago it was like you're gonna watch Friends and Friends is gonna be Thursday night at 8
Everybody
p.m. and if you don't
has
watch
to
it,
watch at the same time.
yeah, and if you didn't watch it, sorry, dude, next week is another you
Yeah.
know another
Yeah.
episode and you missed it,
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah.
So those are the good things because like that's the other thing that I want to do. I want to do TV shows. I want to do. I mean, right now I'm very grateful and I love Lakewood and I love what I'm doing. And you know, sometime eventually, someday, probably, you know,
Sure.
if the path takes me to somewhere else, I'll do something else. But that's how I'm learning to to be an executive producer now.
Okay.
So that's those are the things.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. So I have a question in the comment section here.
There's been a bunch of questions, a couple of questions I saw that.
Okay. I think if you find any, you could just read them out. But
Okay,
I have
well,
one.
it says if we live stream, we live stream Joel Osteen's. You just gotta follow YouTube channel
Mhm.
Joel Osteen and Lakewood Church, or in
Okay.
Spanish, Iglesia Lakewood. And then you can find the services we'll do live on Sundays,
Mhm.
8 o'clock 8:30 in the morning, 11 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Those are Joel Osteen's, and the Spanish one with Danilo, it's at 2 o'clock, and
Okay.
then you can see all the midweeks, all the other shows that we have there for like during the week, Bible studies and midweek sermons and stuff like that. It's all there. So that was the question that I read it. There was another one that it was a very long. It was at the
Okay.
beginning.
I've tracked it. I've tracked it. It says, "What school did you attend?" And
Okay,
it's,
okay.
it's a long one. It says it seems opportunities in the creative field in developed countries are tied to education. Is it possible to climb the ladder without formal education in the field?
I think it is. I
Okay.
mean, there is I've known people that like they never went to school, and but because they work on the craft so many years,
Hmm.
that they have a lot of qualifications. There's a bunch of things like I've seen so many jobs sometimes that they say, what is the minimum qualification? It's like related experience or 4 years of college.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is. I mean, I mean, education is good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Education is good because you learn a lot of things. But if you have the chance to do a lot of work on the field, it gives you more experience. Because
Sure.
sometimes there's some schools, when you go to school, to the school of communications to be a producer, to be a director, that if you don't have the hands-on experience, I mean, if everything is theoretical, eh,
It's
it's
not
there.
balanced. Not
Yeah,
balanced.
yeah. So,
So
uh,
it's important to, if you have the opportunity, then go to school. But if you
exactly.
do not get the opportunity, don't limit yourself by saying, since I didn't go to school, I can't do
I
anything.
can't do anything. Exactly. Because, I mean, everything's in your mind. I mean, if you are very creative,
Yeah.
and you can do whatever. The other thing is, like, I went to school in Pittsburgh State University. It's in Pittsburgh, Kansas. It's a small school. It's a what they call a Division 2 school.
Okay.
So that's what I went. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so I want us to examine something about the attitude. What's the attitude that helps you produce high quality content, even when you've mentioned some of them, that can do spirit. You don't say never, but I think there are some other aspects of it that you might want to look at. What are those attitudes that I'm supposed to have as a producer? I'm looking at doing some really good content, but I don't really have the budget yet. What attitude?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, you gotta love what you do. That's the
Passion.
most important thing. You have to have passion. That's
Yeah.
the first thing that you have to do.
And that's the
Then,
first thing I notice about you.
yeah, I mean, you have to be passionate. You have to be passionate about it. I mean, it's like, I love what I do. I love my profession.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
The second thing is, like, you have to be open to criticism. You
Nice.
have to be open to criticism. I mean, you are not always right, but you're not always wrong either. So you
True.
have to be open to discussion, because sometimes when you focus on something and you want it your way, sometimes you get derailed. And so, in your concept or the way that you wanted to do it, it gets, derailed. So there's people that, will see will see it from another point of view, or see it from the outside of your point of view, and they will say, hey, you know what, I agree with you, or like maybe we should do this, we should do that.
Hmm.
So you have to do that. You have to accept criticism,
Hmm.
and and you have to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
You have to deal with it. That's the single thing. The third thing that I think is really good, and it's a tough one, and it comes along with the criticism, is like you have to accept when you are wrong, or when you messed up,
Hmm.
when you did something that it was your fault.
Hmm.
You have to own it. You would say, okay, my bad, that was on me. Okay,
Yeah.
everything, there's something that, like, I mean, they said that being a producer is a very stressful, work, and you see a bunch of people like, oh, they're producers, they're like all gray hair, and they're stressed out and everything. It's like, yes and no, because you have to be able to balance your life. I mean, until certain time, you're a producer, and you work and you do your stuff, but then after that time, you go home, you spend time with your family, or you spend time with your friends, or you have a drink, or you watch TV, or whatever you want. Or like in my case, I go and play soccer, and I walk my dogs.
Wow.
You have to balance, because if you don't have a balance in your life, then one of those things is going to take a toll on the other one.
True.
It's always going to take a toll. It's always going to take a toll. So you have to balance your life, mind and spirit and heart. You have to balance the three most important things, mind, spirit, and heart. It's going to, balance that.
Okay.
So, that's another thing that you have to do. What else? I think those are the most
Okay.
important things.
I want you to look at your team.
Okay.
What role would your team play in making sure that you are on budget, you stick to the budget, you make the best use of the budget that is available? So what role would your team, like, you as a producer, who and who in your team are your biggest resources in terms of human resources, and how do you manage them to make sure that, sometimes you have to multitask,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you have to do a couple of roles that are non-traditional. So where does that fall in?
Okay, well, here, and we do it like that. I mean, there's a few people here that help doing all that, but sometimes, yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to do camera, and then you have to edit, and you have to interview. I mean, that's why that's what I was telling you, earlier. Is like, in order to be a good producer, you have to learn, and you have to be able to do a lot of things, and you have to be able to do a lot of things, and you have to be happy about it, because if you do it, you know, unhappy, or like, I don't want to do it or whatever, it's gonna reflect on your product. It's gonna reflect on your product. I mean, um, I've seen people here that, like, they do from picking up the phone and coordinating the stories, like, hey, you know what, this is so and so, and we want to make a story with you, and when can we meet? Sometimes it's like that, or sometimes it's just like, you have people here that, like, they will do that coordination. So, like, go tell us, hey, you know what, we're gonna do is an interview with these people, and they call them up, and then, but like, it's a team effort. We always work as a team. When you have a team, everything works better.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that your team is happy. Oh, I mean, it's happy. I mean, because if you don't have a happy team,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
gonna work. It's not going to work.
Exactly. You don't want a grumpy team member. it's gonna drag everyone back.
Exactly. So I mean, you have to try. You have to try to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
It's like the most important thing is like, I mean, I know that like there's the people that, well, you know what, look, I'm very shy or like I'm very difficult, but you have to be open. You have to open up a little bit because when you do a product, especially for me, like I always thought about it like this way. When I produce something, it's not me. There's a whole
Yeah.
team doing it.
Yeah.
When somebody says, "Hey, you know what? Good job on the story that you did," it's
Mhm.
like, "Thank you, but I didn't do it by myself. There
Yeah.
was a lot of people involved on this. There was a
Mm.
lot of people doing it. There was a lot of people that helped me doing this."
True.
So
True.
I I I always do that. I always you have to always be in a team player because that's how you know you give back to everybody. It's like and that's why and that's how people will help you, will keep helping you
Yeah, that's
because
how you
if you
get out of them.
yeah, so that's how so that way you have to you just have to stay on budget or work on this thing and trying to make it like less money here, less money there. It's a different way to do it because most of the times most of the times like I said, like we try to be resourceful. I mean, try to look at resources that you have so you have to spend a whole lot of money because and then when you're gonna spend money, you gotta make sure that like whatever you're spending,
Yeah.
is it is it gonna work just for this project or is it gonna
Be
work for
useful
yeah,
for another.
especially when especially with smaller church and smaller budgets, you have to think about that all the time when you have a budget.
Hmm.
Okay, so are we gonna buy this? Okay, is this gonna help us just for this particular project, or is it gonna help us on the long way?
Exactly.
So that's because I mean that's how Lakewood did it when they started. I mean, they were saying, okay, so we're gonna buy this camera, but this camera gonna use it not we're gonna use it for this. We're gonna buy these lights, okay, but we're gonna use it for like stories and for offerings and for when we go out.
Mm.
So you have to be resourceful and you have to make everything work along those ways.
Okay, so that means you have to know when to rent. You have to know when to make a purchase because rental over a period of time would not be business savvy for you, right?
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I mean, it depends on your workload.
True.
It depends really it depends on your workload and I think that like the same thing that you said. Okay, so if we're gonna do 4 stories because we're gonna do 1 story a month, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna rent 2 days the camera for every week, so that's gonna be 2, 4, 6, 8. We're gonna rent it for 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much is it gonna cost us for rented for 8 days, and how much is it gonna cost us if we buy that camera?
True.
You know, I mean, yeah, at the beginning you can. I mean, I'm not saying you just go ahead and just like start not renting anything and just start buying everything. No, no, no.
No.
Because you can when you're a small church,
Yeah.
it's the same thing as in a small business. When you're a small business or you're a small church and you're gonna make a purchase, you make
Yeah.
one purchase at a time. So you said, okay, you know what, we're gonna buy a camera, okay, but we're gonna still renting the lights, okay, great. You're gonna buy the camera this month. You're gonna see how it works. You're gonna see, and whenever a couple of months later, if you keep with the same workflow,
Yeah.
then you said, okay, you know what? I think it's time to buy some lights, and you keep growing that way. You
True.
keep, going that way. I mean, that's how you have to do it, and that's how you can actually stay on budget.
Fantastic.
Because because one thing that is very important and one thing that like I think is going to help, all the church, you know, medias, all the church media people that like are watching us and everything, and you have to like, after this, talk to your pastor or talk to your leader or talk to your boss or whoever is in charge, your video production director or whatever. Is like you have to, you have to convince them that like, okay, we're gonna start. For example, you put this like, so we're getting so many wonderful testimonies, so many wonderful stories that let's propose to the pastor that we're going to we're gonna do 2 testimonies a month. Okay, so you start doing that, and you start showing the pastor the engagement that you have with that. People are like, oh my God, this is awesome. The same thing happened to me, and I want to go. And then it's like, okay, so now what, pastor? I mean, we should buy a camera because we want to do it, in a regular basis, and it's going to be this.
Yeah.
Or what, we should start going, on YouTube Live because the streaming service is really good. So let's do this. So everything is like that. It's just like you got to propose, then you have to show it. Show it, and then say, hey, you know what? Yeah, and it's on a low budget. It's like we're spending a little bit of money to do it because I know everybody wants to go really high. I mean, like I know everybody wants to go really high. It's like I myself, like I was telling you, like I want to make movies and I want to make shows, and I was like I'm ready to sign with somebody and just like, but it's like you have to learn it. You have to do a pilot. You have to do this. You have to step by step.
True.
So the same thing. Budget is not. I mean, it should never be an issue. The budget should never be an issue because it's how you tell the story. It's how you tell how you tell the story. Basically, how you tell the story. There's no question. What is your approach to producing an offering video or story and the workflow? Okay, I'm gonna answer because if not, then we lose the question.
True.
Over here, we have a Monday meeting. Every Monday, we have a meeting of what's going to happen during the week. On those meetings, there's a few things of pitching ideas about stories, for example. But the workflow on a story is if the story gets approved, because sometimes like the stories they come straight from some of the pastors of the church. It's like, hey, you know what? I met so and so. I've talked to them, and they are willing to do a story, and then we put a date. Basically,
sorry, who are those in that meeting?
On the meeting, we have a meeting in the media department. So here is like the meeting on the media department is everybody in media, which is like the media director and the editors and the producers. So there's like so that's the meeting that we have here. But most of these people, most of us, we have previous of that. We have in another weeks before the meeting, we have pre-meetings with pastors or with like collaborators of the church. They like say, hey, you know what? There's this big nice story. So we talked about that story, and then we set up a date. It's like, for example, okay, so today is May 15th. If they would pitch me a story today, I will recommend that story should be aired in 3 weeks. Okay. That's the ideal, time, from
that work.
From the pitching to the
broadcast,
to the air date. Okay. From the pitching to the air date. During the workflow, so there's a couple of things, like, for example, okay, so after the story gets approved by the pastors, media department sets up, and the pastors set the date and set the story. So we look at our calendar and we start like saying, okay, so we're gonna record on this day, or just we need 1 day, we need 2 days, and since we're all there, producers and editors, and most of the producers that we're here, we are the ones that run the cameras and do the lighting. So we set up. We have a team that like builds that. We have a team that like is like the same people that do the cameras and the lighting. So these are video producers, like really really professional video producers. So we separate that, and then we ask, most of the time we ask for, uh, we need the story. So the person that is going to do the story gets a little bit of a summary of the story, or what's the story about, what's going to happen, and blah, blah. And then after that we go and do the story. We go and shoot the story,
Mhm.
and after we shoot the story, we see we have, if we need B-roll, or if we need, some audiovisual material like pictures, or or home videos or stuff like that. And that's how we build it. That's how we build it. The stories. It's the similar in Spanish and English. The similar in Spanish and English is how we build it. In Spanish is a little bit more. I had a little bit more of control on that, like on the thing is like I I had a meeting like at the beginning of the year with the pastor of the Spanish ministry, and I proposed him to have one story a month.
Okay.
So so if they pitch me a story in January, that story is gonna be aired either February or March, depends on how fast they gave me the information. Because like I said,
Mhm.
I most of the times I gave them a 3 week window. Sometimes there is a turnaround. Sometimes, there's something that has to be, because I don't know, let's say a family from Nigeria came and visit, you know, Houston, and came to Lakewood, and they have a very good testimony, and they, get a hold of a pastor, and they tell them the story, and the pastor is like, you know what, I like it in this case. And so they will call us on Monday and say, hey guys, you know what, this family is going to stay here in Houston only until Thursday. So is there a way we can, record them? So then, we'll set up a Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday to shoot the story, so they can leave. And then, we'll, do the whole post-production thing of everything else,
Okay.
for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
For the offering videos, it's a little bit more different, because there is, like I said, there's the outreach ministry. And so the outreach ministry, every week there's something going on. Every week they're delivering food or toys, or for example, Joel Osteen's brother, Dr. Paul, he has this ministry, because he's a doctor. So he has his ministry, and he goes between 3 or 4 months a year. He goes to Africa. He goes to Zimbabwe, I think. He goes to
Wait,
Zimbabwe. Yeah.
that's how.
And yeah, and then they have hospitals over there. So he goes over there, and does he does surgeries. And so there's a team that goes with him,
Okay.
and they record all those things, and sometimes they send us. And so, like, whenever Dr. Paul is in Africa, so it's like, hey, there's a video coming from Dr. Paul, because he is, in partnership with, some organization in Africa, and they're doing, it's like Medical Without Borders, like Medics
Yeah.
Without Borders.
Yeah.
So those things, so like all the time, offering videos are happening every day, every week. That's something that is, it's almost like it's been set up. I don't really have control of that, because like I'm just one of the producers, but there's the head of, that he just gives me. And for Spanish and English, what I do is just like, basically I do the same offering that like Joel Austin, that the English service is going to do it. And what I do is I just translate it to Spanish, and I voice over that one, or my wife voice overs if it's a girl that does
Oh,
the offering. So,
okay.
but that's how it is.
A typical shoot, a typical production shoot. How many days does it take?
Between one and two, between one and two,
Okay.
between one and two. Yeah, that's why we gave some, that big time frame.
Yeah.
For offerings, a little bit easier, because like, you know, the Lakewood has, a warehouse. So they say, hey, you know what? Tomorrow we're gonna, the volunteers are gonna come, and we're gonna, wrap all this baby stuff that just came in from a donation, and we're gonna give it to the, Mothers in Crisis Center in Houston, for example. So tomorrow we're gonna be, volunteers are gonna, making the boxes. So then we'll go tomorrow, we'll shoot it,
Okay.
and then, we'll do an interview, and then we'll come back. And because the offerings offerings are really most of the times are short turnarounds, what we call, which is we'll shoot it this week and we'll air on Sunday.
Okay.
So that's how the workflows for that. So
Fantastic. Okay, so what about the repetitive um, um, events? So let's say we feed 5,000 people every week. How do you showcase that every time and not sound like you're saying the same thing over and over again?
it's because there's so many things in the outreach. I mean, there's not only. I mean, like for example, like this week we help. We did something for the mothers. So there was an outreach about giving diapers and all to this community, but like the week before that, it was Dr. Paul was in Ukraine. So we got a video from the Ukraine because they were helping the refugees over there.
Okay.
And so every week changes. Every week there's something new. I mean, if there's for example, right now, and sometimes it happens like we go with what's happening. For example, if it's raining here and we got a flood, and there's 1,000 people that like have been damaged by the flood.
Yeah.
So the offering of this week is going to be something that Lakewood did to help them. They give him refuge, or they give him they give him some clothes, or So every week, I mean, it has never been a repeated thing. It's never the same thing. It's like we feed the hunger this week, and next week we feed another homeless. No. If we feed the hunger this week, next week, we did something else. We help, single mothers, or like we help building houses, or so all the time. So it's also the way that the church has been, has the organization. I mean, the church is so big that our ministry has a lot of outreach. In cases of little churches, you can do offering, and maybe because of the demand of the things that happens on the offering for your church is not as massive as Lakewood, you can probably go twice a month. You can probably send a video twice a month instead of doing it every week, or you can make once a month and make a very summary of the whole month. On this month, this is what we did.
Yes. That's
so. I mean, So those are solutions that you can actually give. Because I mean, it's not like we do it 4 times. We do it once a week. 4 times a month. Everybody should do it like that. I mean, there's people that can do it like once a month or twice a month. It's the same thing as the stories. I mean, we do it, like I said, Spanish does it once a month, English does it two or 3 a month. But that doesn't mean that the churches that are like watching this video and say, oh my God, so we have to do it. No. I mean, you can do it maybe for starters once every 2 months. So I mean, it all depends. It all depends on your workflow, and it all depends on how what's the goal, and how's like the vision of your lead pastor.
Yeah. True. Okay, so I want us to quickly look at, we've run out of time now. We should go in about 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
I just want us to quickly look at the issue of pre-production and how it's a big help when it comes to making a very good use of your budget. Pre-production is
the key for every single production that you do. I mean, it's the main thing.
Yeah.
Because on pre-production, you will determine what are you going to do, on what budget are you going to do, and how much time are you going to spend doing that. So you have to be very careful with the pre-production. Because, I mean, not all the time it's set in stone. It's not written in stone like this is what we're going to do in pre-production, and it's not, we're not going to move anything from you. No. But most of the times, if you have a really good pre-production, you have a guide. So you have a north, like we say, you have a north of what are you going to do and how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's really important to really have a very detailed pre-production on what
Mm.
are you going to do. And if it's not as much as detailed, as long as you know exactly what you want, you can work around
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Depends obviously, and obviously depends on like how much experience you have and how much you've done this before.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
if you have if you're starting as a new producer or as a young producer, and starting to doing stories for church, I will recommend you to like write it down, to write your pre-production down, very very specific. I'm gonna shoot 2 days. I'm gonna use one camera and two lights. I need the brief or the script by this day,
Mm.
and and I'm gonna use this, and and we're gonna, this is gonna be outside of, for example, outside of Legos, and that's like a 2 hour drive. So we need money for gasoline, and probably we need money for to eat lunch and dinner. I mean, make it as detailed as possible. If you want to write it down. If you want to just, get some notes, get some notes, but be sure to have it, because that's the most important thing. Because there's two pre-production parts that you have. The equipment pre-production, which is like what camera I'm going to use, what lights, where is it, location, and all that. And the other one is the story.
Mm.
The story. What am I going to do? Am I going to ask her questions about, or how am I going to do? Like, for example, how I do my stories, I don't ask questions. I don't like the interview and things. So what's your name and what God has made it to you? What I like is you tell me your story. So you start telling me your story, and because I already read it, if I see that you missed something, or if I see that like I want you to, be more specific in something, I will tell you, like, so, but this happens to you when you were a little kid. What do you think about this? You know? So, I mean, there's different ways. I have some colleagues here that they ask questions like, so tell me about, what happened with your mother,
Mhm.
and how did you feel about this? And, so it all depends on your style, and it all depends how you want it to tell the story. I
So
mean,
you already heard the story before you record it. So
obviously, all the time, all the time. Every time you're gonna make a story, every time that you're gonna do a testimony, you have to have it before. So you have to have it, and you have to have it like at least 3 or 4 days before you go and do the shoot. So you can read it, you can know about it, because when you read it and you know about it, and you say, for example, when I was a little kid, my brothers and me always liked to play in the sun because my mom always took us to the beach. So whenever he tells or she tells you the story live, or like when you're doing recording,
mhm.
you have to tell them, hey, you know what? I need pictures of you when you were a little kid, especially when you were on the beach with your family, with your friends. Because when you go to an interview, or when you go to one of these testimony videos,
Mhm.
and you know the story, you will get connected. You will get an instant connection with that person.
True.
Okay?
Mhm.
Because if you don't do that, and if you go, it's like, okay, well, I have no idea what I'm just here, just to tell me, that person will probably feel insecure, and will probably be shy, and probably will not tell you. One of the most important things when you are going to tell a story is you have to make a connection with the person that is going to be interviewed by you. You have to make a connection. You have to be connected with them, so they can feel that you are a friend. They can feel that you are not there to judge them. Because most of the people are like, hey, I can talk to you, and then it happens a lot of times. You turn on the camera, and
Mhm.
they freeze. They don't want to
You
tell
know.
you. They start talking like this, and so you have to do that. And before you start shooting, I recommended you, like for example, if you have a shoot at 3 o'clock, first of all, you have to be there at 2 o'clock, and you have to be ready by 2:30. Your team has to be ready by 2:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I recommended you like to, tell that person that is going to be there, the shooting at 3. If that person gets at 3 o'clock over there, you don't start shooting right as soon as she's there. You talk to them. You talk to that person. You get acquaintance to that person. Okay, so you get that feeling that like, oh, okay, we know each other now. So like as soon as you're done with that, that's like a 10-15 minutes, no more than that. It's like, all right. So now I need you to sit right here, and you're gonna tell me exactly what we're talking about, but you're just not gonna tell me. It's like ignore everybody else, ignore all these people that are here. Just tell me the story. That way they would feel more relaxed, and that way they will tell you the story the way it is. Because
True.
when you do that, when the story is so powerful, and there's a lot of people that cry on those stories. Those are good stories because they're powerful, But but like if I don't know you and you're like, oh, well, tell me your story, I'm probably not gonna cry, and I'm probably gonna tell you like, well, you know what, this happens to me, and but then God was great, and thank you, it was awesome. But when you get the acquaintance, when you get to know each other, when you get to know the other person, then it's amazing. Then it's really good.
Fantastic. I don't want you to go. This is 9:14 already. We've spoken for over an hour, and
yeah,
I've seen you compress. You've performed a miracle. You've compressed 20 years into just these few minutes, man. And
no, I'm very grateful, and I like sharing, and I hope this helps a lot of people down there in Lagos, and
it does.
helps everybody there.
It does. This is a joy that we get from what we also do. The ability to share knowledge and to proliferate it, make people understand better what they are doing, especially for the gospel and the kingdom of God. And I want to appreciate you. I want to say very big thank you to you. And like you say, it's not just you. So it's a team that has allowed you to be here. I'm sure your wife made it possible for you to be here. Because if she said no, you won't be here, right?
Exactly.
So
and then I want to thank you guys also. It's been a great experience, and
thank you.
And anything that you guys need from me, and if I'm able to share, I'll be gladly to share with you guys. So
truly,
this I've been so blessed with doing what I love, which is great.
Yeah. So I think one thing you're passionate about is producing. The second thing is teaching. You'll make a very
good
teacher.
I don't know. They say my father is a professor, and he told me one time, it's like, you know what, you like to share your stuff, but you don't have the teachable way. And it's like, well, this is the way that I teach. This is the way that I see it. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I want to thank everyone that showed up on the live stream. I mean, on the Instagram live. Sorry.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yes, please.
I just want to, can we before you say goodbye to everybody, can we close in prayer? Can I say a prayer? Can we close this in prayer?
Please do.
All right. Well, thank you, God. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful opportunity that let me and Church Media X to share with a lot of people, that are doing you guys your work in different churches, God. So thank you, and I hope this helps a lot of people, helps so many people that are willing to spread the word of you in different ways through video in Lagos, Nigeria. So thank you, God. Thank you for all this, and bless this project, bless this church, bless everybody that is listening and their families, and bless everybody in the world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Marcelo. Thank you. We're going to talk to you soon. Probably you're going to give us contacts to some of your industry colleagues there that we can also speak with. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you know them already in your mind, so we'll be glad to also speak with them. And we want to say thank you to you guys at the Lakewood Church. You guys do amazing work. Your CSR, it blesses the world, but your productions also bless us. We look at those videos, we study them, we use them to improve ourselves. So we want to say a big thank you. So I want to say thank you to everyone, especially my co-founder Adura. Adura has been the one speaking with you. He did all the graphics, he did all the artwork, he did all the hard work of even getting you to be on this live Instagram. I want to say thank you to my wife also. She's on the live stream here. Where is she? She's been very hard working on. You should have seen her.
Yeah.
I was
I saw my wife joined also, so she's very
interested.
funny. Yeah, yeah,
Interested.
she yeah.
Great. Then I want to say a big thank you to our churches also. My church, House on the Rock, Pastor Paul. One of these days he's going to come preach in your church.
Awesome.
He
Yeah.
preached at
Yeah.
he preached at Bishop Jake's church
Oh, nice.
last week at the ILS. Yeah, he was
Mm.
there. So he's Bishop Jake's mentee. So I'm sure one of these days he's going to come preach at the Lakewood Church. Lakewood sent us a video for the experience. Do you know about the experience?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, we got a greetings video from Lakewood Church. It's the largest gospel concert in the world,
Oh, wow.
and it's organized by our church. So thank you to everyone for coming on tonight. We couldn't take all the questions. You guys were buzzing. All right, well, you can join us again next 2 weeks on this same platform. All right, Mr. Marcelo, thank you so much. Have a fantastic afternoon. And should you need anything, you know where to get us, right?
Yes.
All
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
right,
Love you.
guys, bye.
Bye.
Love,
Bye.
peace. All right.
Peace.